Hello everyone, so on this video I'm going to go over how to create a table for a grouped and cumulative frequency distributions. I'm going to be using exercise 18 on lesson 2.1 just to show you an example on how to create this type of tables and distributions. So for this example, we have that the number of stories in each of a sample of the world's 30 tallest buildings follows with the data that is given to us. They're asking us to construct a grouped frequency distribution and a cumulative frequency distribution with 7 classes. Now, they are specifying that it has to be a grouped frequency distribution because we notice that we have 30 different values, right? It'll take us long and a really long time and more work if we just try to do a categorical value. Also the range, the numbers in between, for the lowest value and the highest one, it's pretty big. So because of that, we're going to go ahead and break this into 7 classes, creating a grouped frequency distribution. So I'm going to go ahead and break it into steps. So basically, step number 1 is to determine the classes. Now, what do I mean by classes? Basically, the groups that we're going to have in each row. So what values are we going to have in each group? How many groups are we going to have? We know it's 7, but then again, what values are going to be on each of these different seven classes? So there's several steps that we need to take in order to determine the classes. The first one is, let me fix this. So the first one is to find the highest and lowest values. So I know my highest value, if I looked at my data, I will say it's 110. And the lowest value will be 54. Okay. Next thing is to find the range. So to find the range, basically what I have to do is do the highest value minus the lowest, which is going to be 110 minus 54, which equals 56. Okay. Now the next step is for us to find the width of each class. So basically the width is how many values are we going to have in each of the groups, right? In each of the class, this value has to be consistent and it has to be in the same in all of the groups, in all 7 classes that we're going to have. So here, to find the width, what we need to do is use the range and divide by the number of classes. Now we know the range is 56, and we're going to divide by the number of classes, which is 7. They're specifying that it's 7, and this is going to be 8. So the width of each of the classes is going to be 8. Okay. Now the next step is to create the classes. So how do we create the classes? Well, basically, we need to take the lowest value, or maybe a value that it's lower than that. Here in this case, our lower value is 54. I'm going to go ahead and start with, let's say 53, just to go a little bit lower. So I'm going to start with 53, and then we're going to be adding the width over and over until we create our 7 classes. So 53 plus 8 will be 61. Then for the next class, we're not going to put 61, we're going to jump to 62, because we don't want the number 61 to be part of two different classes. Now 62 plus 8 will be 70. Our next class will start with 71 plus 8, it'll be 79. Then I'm going to start with 80 plus 8 is 88. Then I'm going to start with 89 plus 8, that'll be 107. No, 97. What am I doing? I don't know why I put 107. So this will be 97. And then I'm going to take 98. I'm going to go ahead and add 8 more, which will be 106. And then I'm going to take 107. I'm going to go ahead and add 8 more, and that'll be 115. And there I have my 3 different classes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite these classes and erase this the part on the top. So we already found the highest and lowest values, find range, find the width, and we have created our classes. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. So this is definitely like my whiteboard, as if I was in class and I ran out of space. So there it is. And let me rewrite the classes. So we have 53 to 61, and then 62 to 70, 71 to 79, 80 to 88, 89 to 97, 98 to 106, and 107 to 150. Well, now I can get rid of this part in the bottom too. So those are our classes. Now we also need to find our class boundaries, right? What are the class boundaries? So basically, we notice how we are jumping from 61 to 62, and then we're jumping from 70 to 71. Well, there are still decimal values in between our classes, right? So our class boundaries, I'm going to change the color for that. Our class boundaries will become 52.5 to 61.5. And notice what I'm doing. I'm basically adding and subtracting 0.5, right, from the different class limits, right? So let me put add, subtract 0.5. Now let's say that your class limits actually involve a decimal value, right? In that case, if your class limits will have, let's say like 3.4 and then 2.6 or 7.6, then what you want to do is, instead of adding 0.5, you will be adding 0.05, so 2 decimal values after, right? And that's how this is going to be different from when we have whole values. Okay. And then for the next one, we will have, well, again, 61.5 to 70.5, and then 70.5 to 79.5, and then we will have 79.5 to 88.5, then 88.5 to 97.5, 97.5 to 106.5, and 106.5 to 115.5. So our class boundaries basically cover every single value of of the data, even decimals are included. Our classes do not contain the same values. For instance, 61, it's only on the first class and not on the second one. The second one starts at 62. However, we have those class boundaries, which makes them, go all the way to 61.5 for the first class, and then for the second one, it actually starts at 61.5. Okay, now let's remember there's a difference between those two. Class boundaries is just for us to make sure that we are including every single value on for the numbers that are on the data inside of the range, and the classes are the actual values, the actual numbers from the data. Okay, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and create our table. So I'm gonna go ahead and rewrite this on the bottom. And we are actually about to do basically what we did for the previous example on the categorical frequency distribution. So step 2, first we start with our classes. Hopefully I have enough space. I think I do. So 53 to 61, 62 to 70, 71 to 79, 80 to 88, and then 89 to 97, 98 to 106, and 107 to 115. Okay, now we have the boundaries. I'm not going to go ahead and rewrite those, but here on this column we're pretty much are going to have these values. And then we're going to go ahead and count our tallies. So how many numbers do we have between 53 and 61? So let's see, 88, 88, 110, 88, 80, 69, 102, 78. We have 55, so there's 1. We have 60, that's 2. We have 55, that's 3. We have another 55, that's 4. We have a 54, that's 5. We have a 60, that's 6. And we have a 56, that's 7. And that's it. So we have 7 values between 53 and 61. Now between 62 and 70. So let's go ahead and find all the numbers between 62 and 70. 88, 69, so 1. And then 72. Then we have 77, 75, 75, 64, 3, and 74. And I believe that's it. So again, I'm going to go ahead and draw lines in between our classes. Let's see, from 71 to 79. So we have 78, that's 1. 79, that's 2. 77, that's 3. 75, that's 4. 75, that's 5. 71, that's 6. And 72, that's 7. You know what? I just noticed that for 62 to 70, we also have 65. So that is 5 values for the second class. Now let's go ahead and see from 80 to 88. I feel like I've seen a lot of 88, so let's see. Yep, 88, 1. And then 88, 2. 88, 3. 84. 85, 5, 86, And that's it. So we have 6. Now from 89 to 97. So from 89 to 97, so we have 90, that's 1. We have, that's it, only 1. Now let's see from 98 to 106. We have 102. We have 100. And we have 105. And then from 107 to 115, we only have 110. Cool. So that's our tally. Now let's go ahead and see what is the frequency. So for frequency, we have 7 for the first class, we have 5 for the second class, we have 7 for the third, we have 6 for 80 to 88, we have 1 for 89 to 97, we have 3 for 98 to 106, and we have 1 for 107 to 115. Now let's go ahead and add these values to make sure that we actually have 30. These should be 30 different values. This is 7 and 5, 12, and 7, 19, and 6, 25, and 1, that'll be 26, and 3, 29, and 1, 30. So yes, we have a total of 30. So yay, we're good with the frequencies. And that'll be our grouped frequency distribution, right? So this is how we create a table using our different steps and creating that grouped frequency distribution. Now we also want to find the cumulative frequency, right? So I'm going to go ahead and erase this part on the top. Whoops, I think I'm erasing a little bit too much, but oh well. It's too big. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite those values. So it was 79. If I'm not mistaken, it was 79. And then 54. And then 105. I don't know why I did that. Let me get to the exercise again to find what were those values. My eraser was too big. Okay, almost there. So this will be it's 60, and then 64, 105, 56, 71, and 70, and then the 65. Okay, cool. And then this should say frequency. Okay. So that we already have our grouped distribution. Not the prettiest one, but there it is. Now let's go ahead and work on our cumulative distribution. So our cumulative distribution And basically for the cumulative distribution, what we want to do is we're going to be like adding, instead of putting the frequency for each class, we're going to be adding and accumulate the values from one row or from one class to the other. So let's say we start with values less than 61, or instead of saying less than 61, let's say values less than 61.5, because that was our boundary, right? So let's say instead of 61.5, let's start with values less than 52.5. Well, there are 0 values less than 52.5. Now values less than 61.5. So we have 7 values. If we look at the first row, we have 7 values that are less than 61.5. Now values that are less than, let's say 70.5. So now we're looking at the second row. That is 5 more, right? So that means that in total it'll be 7 and 5. 7 from the previous class and then 5 from the second one, so that'll be 12. And then less than 79.5. So notice how I'm taking the upper boundary. So 79.5. Now that is 7 more, so we add 12 plus 7, which is 19. Then less than 88.5. So that'll be 6 more, right? So 19 plus 6, that'll be 25. And then we go to the next class boundary. So less than 97.5. So we add a 1, so that'll be 26. And then less than 106.5. That will be 3 more, so 29. And then less than 115.5. So that will be 1 more, so it's 30. Whoops. Just by the end. Alright, so 30. So that will be my cumulative distribution. And for that, again, we use our grouped frequency distribution. Okay, so for the cumulative, again, we're kind of like adding values on. And let's remember that we are taking the upper boundaries. Except for the first one, where we include the lower boundary, just to clarify that there is 0 values, right? So this is the only exception that we make for boundaries, okay? And that will be how we create our grouped and cumulative frequencies.